You're listening to Soap Dirt, the latest in television entertainment news.
Hey, Young and the Restless fans, we want to talk about 5 characters that fans would love to see back to Genoa City to amp up the drama on Y&R. It's Belinda from Soap Dirt, and we are going to dive into who should come back. But first, please hit that subscribe. All right, let's get into it. The first return is tied to a recent death. You know, everybody misses Chance Chancellor, but he is unfortunately dead and gone and does seem to be a final passing. And his mom, Nina Webster, is really missing her son. But you know, Chance was not her only son. I think it'd be kind of amazing if his brother, Ronan Malloy, came back. His real name is Aidan Lansing, but when he was an undercover FBI agent, he was known as Ronan. And his origin story is wild. Nina Webster was just a teenager when she had Ronan. And in true soap style, Nina's son was stolen at birth and sold on the black market. But Ronan came back into Nina's life as an adult, and Ronan had come and gone over the years, but now that Chance is gone for good, I think Nina would love to have her other son back, even if he just came back on one of her returns. But more importantly, I actually think Ronan would fit in quite well into the Young and the Restless character canvas long term, because he's a cop. And right now, we don't have any law enforcement in Genoa City. We have a couple of LA cops on Y&R. They seem to be short-term hires. So I'd like to see Ronan return. And he has ties to a lot of people in town, and he could absolutely fill the gap that was left by Chance. Another character that might be great to bring back is Theo Vanderway. If you forgot him, he is Kyle Abbott's cousin, and Theo shares the same grandma as Kyle. They are both grandchildren of Dina Mergeron, and this was a retcon, a character invented later. But Theo's dad was the half-brother to Jack and Tracy and Ashley. He is not a half-brother of Billy's, because Billy was not an offspring from Dina's side of the family. So before Kyle knew about their family ties, he and Theo were party pals in New York City during one of the times when he was off screen for quite a while. Kyle and Theo were hanging out in the Hamptons at the time that Kyle got Tara Locke pregnant while she was still married to Ashlyn Locke, and that's how he got his son Harrison. So once Theo came to Genoa City, he and Kyle turned into rivals. There was a lot of jealousy there, because Kyle had grown up with a silver spoon in his mouth and Theo did not, you know, and that's because his tie to Dina and all that wealth and everything wasn't known. So Y&R could absolutely bring Theo back to torment Kyle, especially given their past. You know, Theo is the type that would go after Claire to mess with Kyle, and he's already dealing with Holden going after her. And Theo also tangled with both Summer and Lola, who had been with Kyle as well. So if Theo came back, I think things could get even messier for Kyle, which could be pretty interesting. Now, the third character we need back on screen, at least for a while, is one of my favorites, Tucker McCall. And of course, he was recast, and Stephen Nichols was replaced by Trevor St. And of course, I love Stephen Nichols, but I really like Trevor St. The ex-husband of Ashley and the ex-boyfriend of Audra was a boatload of fun. Tucker was quirky and funny, and he would bring comic relief to scenes because, you know, Trevor St. was just always messing with stuff and just doing strange things you don't always see actors doing on soaps. Plus, Audra would absolutely lose her mind if Tucker returned. Things had gotten pretty bad between Audra and Tucker. If you remember, Audra stole his company, Glissade, with Victor's help. So I think it's fitting for Tucker to return because there's more about Audra and Holden's sketchy past to come out that ties into Tucker, and he owes Audra and Victor both a little payback. So I think that could be pretty interesting, and it's always nice when Devon's dad shows up and tries to get back on his good side. The fourth comeback that could be really wild is Patty Williams. She was played by Stacey Heiduck, and Crazy Patty was always fun. She's the younger sister of Paul Williams, and back in the day, she was very sweet, very innocent, and Patty fell head over heels in love with Jack Abbott, but he only married Patty to prove to his father, John Abbott, that he was mature and grown up and could be trusted for him to make him president of Jabot. But Jack had an ongoing affair with Diane, back then, who was a model, and that was going on while Jack was married to Patty. And she actually walked in on Jack and Diane fooling around, and it was really bad because at the time Patty was pregnant and she kind of ran out upset and she tripped and she miscarried. And then she found out Jack married her basically for business reasons, and Patty threatened to kill herself, but Jack said, "Shoot me instead." So Patty did. And from there, she turned into pretty much Crazy Patty. She later shot Victor, I think, 3 times, among a lot of other crimes that ended up with Patty sent to prison. And she was later institutionalized and sent to a facility for the criminally insane. She was also part of the storyline where Sharon thought that Christian was her baby. And another reason it could be cool to bring back Patty is because she's got history with Ian Ward. If you remember, she saved his life when he nearly died trying to burn down Newman Tower. That was years ago when he was conspiring with Adam. So with Ian still alive, maybe Patty could come back as his new partner in crime since Jordan is dead. And of course, we all know Ian's not gone for good. Mariah's been getting inpatient psychiatric care and hallucinating Ian, which is a red flag. He'll return. Plus, Sharon's old villains keep coming back to torment her, so Ian might pop up now that everybody thinks that he's dead. All right, the fifth and final character I think it would be great for Young and the Restless to bring back is Avery Clark. Her name was originally Avery Summers. If you forgot her, she is the little sister of Phyllis Summers. And when she first came to town, Avery had a real chip on her shoulder. She resented Phyllis for leaving home as a teen when Avery was just little, and Phyllis never looked back. So Avery showed up in Genoa City as a big shot, successful lawyer from New York that Victor Newman had hired to represent Sharon when she was accused of murdering Sky Newman. That was back in 2011. And Phyllis was shocked to find out that Avery was her sister. But Phyllis wanted to kind of keep her past and present separate, and then their con man dad turned up. And Phyllis was also really jealous of Avery's success and how well she'd done with her life while Phyllis was kind of bouncing around and trying to cobble things together. But later, Phyllis did try and make things right with Avery, but she rejected Phyllis. And then Avery fell hard for Nick Newman, and they got engaged despite Avery's big past soulmate tie to Dylan McAvoy, who was, of course, Nicky's son with Paul. In the end, Avery and Nick didn't work out because he had residual feelings for both Phyllis and Sharon. And then Avery had a breakdown and she left Genoa City to clear her head. She was on from 2011 through 2015. Avery did promise Phyllis she would come back one day, but it's been a decade since we last saw Avery, and I think it'd be really interesting to have Phyllis's sister back since she definitely needs more family in Genoa City.
Thank you for being a loyal listener. Follow us wherever you get your podcast, because you don't want to miss the next episode. Soap Dirt is on all the major podcast platforms, including Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and more.